So today I'm just going to go through some questions that had popped up in the feed and give a little feedback here. My Rolling Stone ex has told one of my, I think, best friends, it's an acronym, which we share the same circle of friends, that after 6 months she resents me because I'm everything she wanted me to be when we were together. I did a tremendous amount of work on myself, though. I believe she's figuring out that the grass is not greener on the other side and still loves and has feelings for me. Does anyone agree? Oh, such a layered question. Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, the first thing coming up for me is, are you now everything that she wanted you to be when you were together? Because it sounds like you are different. You said you did a tremendous amount of work on yourself, right? And it may be that while she was there, perhaps, her taking ownership of her role in this, maybe she was doing, for example, let's tie these two things together. Maybe she was doing like a rescuer thing, right? Like maybe she was in her own habit creating circumstances in which you weren't being challenged to rise into your fullest sense of self. And so it was easier to kind of operate under a certain routine of beingness, right? But she may have been wanting you to butt up against her. She may have been wanting and looking for you to answer perhaps her antagonism, whether it was a forward type of antagonism or it was a withdrawing type of antagonism, with a declaration of self-definition, right? So whether she was naggy or criticizing, and then you would sort of scurry around to try to meet whatever you think she wants to make her happy. When people nag and criticize, it's not, I might get some flack for this, but it's usually not because they actually want you to do the thing they're nagging and criticizing you about. It's because they think in whatever the surface level thing is, they think that that's the problem, but it's not. They think that your actions and or behaviors around that thing are exemplary of how well you are showing up in the relationship and how well you are wanting and caring about them and how much they can trust you to care about it as much as they do. And so let's say that's one scenario. And so you kind of scurried around being like, God, I'm doing everything she's asking me to do, and yet it's never enough. Like, what the hell? Let's say that's one scenario. Let's say the other scenario is she would withdraw. Let's say that you showed up and did all these great things, and all of a sudden she just seems to kind of lose interest in you. She's not really wanting to do things with you. She's asking for space. She's just like, and that is because it's sort of the same thing is happening. You're sort of going out of your way to please, and she's now feeling overly responsible for that. So she's going to pull back because she's seeing you as not really holding your form. You're not really holding your own sense of self. And so that's going to, if she has a more Rolling Stone attachment style, she might pull back because she views that as more or less a bid for her to do the same thing. And a loss of self-definition is really at the foundation of most Rolling Stones' essential fears. So there's an expression, treat others the way you want to be treated, but it's really not true. It would be more accurate to say that we treat others the way that they treat themselves. Okay. And so if at the end of that relationship you were like, oh my God, this was a tremendous cataclysmic breakup for me, and I need to start working on myself. I'm reading all these self-help books, and basically it all says love thyself first as a solution to everything. So I'm going to do that. And so now you've done all this work. It's likely that you are now stepping into this version of yourself that she maybe knew was always there, right? That knew the potential was always there. And now she's seeing that, and she may be feeling robbed. She may be feeling robbed of that. So is it a case of the grass is always greener on the other side? I suspect she always knew the grass was green. It may be that you didn't. And so you didn't allow yourself to show up in that way in that relationship. And that's not to say it's all on you. I'm sure there are patterns in her behaviors that inspired however you responded to her as well, right? But this is how we break a cyclical pattern of like anxious avoidant trap, for example. One person has to choose to be the secure one. One person has to choose to weather feeling triggered. One person has to choose to believe that they are worthy enough and to allow the other partner to bounce off them long and hard enough until they start to respond differently because you are responding differently. And each person in individual circumstance will define how long that takes and what that looks like for you.